Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 21, which should come out after Christmas. So I hope you had a lovely Christmas. In fact, it might be New Year in a couple of days. I don't know.
Bloody
I can't
schedule.
remember. Yeah, my schedule. It's my schedule. It is. Actually, it might be the New Year. So if you've had, I hope you had a really good New Year's Eve. Fucking hellfire. This is professional. So anyway, tonight we are delving into 1985. Ooh, what's creepy about night? Why did I do a creepy sound? What's creepy about 1985? It was probably going back in time.
That was it. It
back
was
in
your Tales of the
time.
Unexpected bit, wasn't it? Ooh.
Yeah, yes. I'm here naked as a silhouette and a dance.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh man, yeah. So we've picked 5 LPs each from that year. Do you think we'll cross over? I think there's a fair chance we might.
I think there's a possibility this time. I think it is the closest possibility we've had for some weeks on this one.
Yeah, and it's your turn to go first as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to be shouting and swearing if you get one of mine. Having said that, I've picked 5. I have a backup list of 17. So. I just put a pin in and pick one at random.
All right. Well, I think there's a possibility, but we shall see. Okay, I'll kick off then.
Okay.
The first one, storming album from that year, No Rest for the Wicked, New Model Army.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Is that one of your 5 or one of your 17?
Yes.
Is it?
That's one of my 5. Yeah.
Good. Well, you chip in as we go along or whatever, but No Rest for the Wicked,
hell.
second album from New Model Army. It followed their first album, Vengeance, which was another particularly fine album. So New Model Army, for those who are not aware, they're out of Bradford and just...
Clogs.
Pardon? Clogs.
Clogs. They wore clogs.
Well, Justin Sullivan used to record and perform under the nom de guerre of Slade the Leveller. He had that the ideology which went not only with the
Was that a reference to Noddy Holder laying waste to all before him, or?
Indeed, it was a terrible time in history. Who knew that Noddy would go off at such a tangent and in such an aggressive way? But before that, a little while before that, the Levellers, of course, who were contemporaries of the New Model Army, not exactly lined up, but Thomas Fairfax, Oliver Cromwell, New Model Army, all the wars of the mid-16th, 17th century, and everything that went with it, was obviously a key focal point behind Justin and the band's ideology. So you got Justin on guitar and vocals. I think he's the only remaining member of the band. But in 1985, you got Phil Tompkins on drums and Stuart Morrow on bass. And Stuart Morrow, really to some significant extent, I think made New Model Army a place in punk rock that was very different. Nobody played bass quite like Morrow. And the interesting thing was, in the real tradition of punk rock, he really couldn't play initially. I think he was nominated the bass player before he even played the bass, and he picked it up. And he had this distinctive style of playing where he's playing quite high up, quite unprocessed and clean, quite sophisticated bass lines. But he had a distinctive style on stage as well, because he did this kind of half Apache backwards war dance on one leg thing that he was spinning around and moving around the stage, hopping about on one leg and then the other. It was quite unusual, but it sounded absolutely great.
Yeah, I remember that. I'd not thought about that for bloody years. How he used to do that.
It was very interesting to watch as well as interesting to hear. But the noise the band made together, because they were all good musicians, and there's no doubt that Justin or Slade is a fantastic songwriter. And whilst they got lumped very much in with the punk movement because of the time and because of the fact that they were clearly a somewhat outsider band, they didn't really sit comfortably themselves with that moniker. And like a lot of bands, they didn't feel that they wanted to be pigeonholed as a punk band. So I think they did say, and Justin did say, we're beyond that. And what you call us and what you class pacify us means nothing to us. And he might well be right. I mean, they weren't quite like anybody else at the time. They didn't sit into anarcho-punk or hardcore or ska punk or anything like that. And I think they still plough a pretty distinctive furrow. So the record really is fantastic from beginning to end, and it's real sing-along material as well. The themes and the lyrics are very astute, very intelligent, more so than a lot of their peers, in fact, but the themes remain relevant still today. When you listen to opening track Frightened, for example, it describes how the society, the people in the nation have become so fearful that they wouldn't help somebody screaming in a street. They wouldn't stand up for what they believed in, that they were more comfortable, more relaxed, just staying out of it, as they say. It's nothing to do with me, I'm staying out of it. And that's entirely true now. And in fact, it's probably worse than it ever was. Similarly, Grandmother's Footsteps, and that talks it kind of relates a global issue with a kids' game that we used to play. And did you ever play Grandmother's Footsteps, Dave?
I've absolutely no idea. Which game is that?
It's where somebody's and they stand 20 metres away from you with their back to everybody else. And the idea is you creep up behind slowly to get to the person who's without being caught when they turn round.
Yeah, I don't think we called it Grandmother's Footsteps.
You called it something rude, didn't you?
No, we called... Well, yeah, we might have done, actually. I can't remember what we did call it, actually.
Well, it's similar kind of game.
It was something animal related.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Creep up on the kangaroo. Something, but anyway.
Yeah. Fuck off, you pig twat, or something like that. I don't know.
But the message is about how the establishment, the government, and so on, they use diversionary tactics to keep people at bay, to keep people from challenging what they're really up to, having a look at what's really going on. As long as Strictly's on the television.
Thank goodness they've stopped that and they don't do it these days.
They were terrible dark days, weren't they? Yeah. Yeah. But so again, it's entirely relevant today. It still resonates.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to it today. Drag It Down is about pulling statues down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which there should be lots more of. But we did start a trend of it.
We started and didn't quite finish it.
Yeah.
My favourite track's Better Than Them, to be honest. I think.
I was just about to say that. That's my favourite track as well. Yes. But what do you see that as meaning? Better Than Them? How do you read that song?
It's not entirely explicit, but for me,
it's not. No, is it?
I'll tell you what it is for me. It is. It sums up what it felt like in many respects to be a punk back then. I think there was you feel unsure and you want to be true to yourselves and true to your beliefs, but you are immediately casting yourself as an outsider. And I think it's a brave thing to do. I think we were just trying to be true to ourselves, but we were misfits and we were, to some extent, anxious, but at the same time aggressive. It was an odd time to be, and you'd be in the pub. You think, yes, we are better than them fuckwits who don't know what's going on and don't understand. But
that's how I read it as well. But then I'd listen to it again on a different night and think, is that what it means? It's not particularly forthright,
it's
is
not
it?
explicit,
really?
No. But I think that's good. I think all music should be really what the listener wants it to be. And I'm sure there's lots of music that we both listen to and have listened to over the years where the composer or the writer has had something very clear in his head, a vision, a pictorial vision or an ideological vision, and we've looked at it, listened to it, and got something completely different out of it. It doesn't matter, really.
Yeah.
But it's a great record from start to finish. I haven't really followed New Model Army beyond the 80s, and I can't really explain why, because they had some great singles and those first two brilliant albums. They just didn't. I don't know. I think I don't know.
I probably followed them up to, I don't know, album 5 or 6, I think.
Okay.
I mean, the one after, what was the one after this? Thunder and Consolation. No, it wasn't, was it? It was Ghost of Cain came after this. and then Thunder and Consolation. They were both brilliant.
Oh, right.
I really, really enjoyed them. The one after that, there was a live album called Raw Melody Men, because that was an anagram of New Model Army.
Okay.
And then there were a couple of others that were they were pretty good, but not all that. And then I just, after that, it was a bit, it's another New Model Army album, and I don't think there was any real highlights after that. Although I've listened to a fair few of them. He did a solo album, which I kind of remember being really, really good. Can't remember what that was called. But yeah, they're still going. In fact, they played Cambridge earlier this year. I didn't go though because the New Model Army followers used to get on my fucking nerves. They were such a bunch of twats.
If they haven't seen your face at the last 20 gigs, you're not one of us.
Yeah, it was all that kind of, look at us, we've got clogs, we follow New Model Army. It was like, fuck off, mate. And they used to do these stupid fucking pyramids in the middle of the hall. They'd all, like four of them would kneel down and then a couple get on top and then a couple more. Yeah, it was fucking tedious. It really was.
I saw them once live, and that was at City Limits in Cambridge. It was a great gig. They didn't do any pyramids, and I can't recall there being any clogs or anything. But I do recall that there was an old chap that used to turn up at punk gigs periodically. He must have been 60 some odd, and he had it.
That's me.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm thinking, because he'd turn up and he had his leather jacket and he'd stand at the back all on his own, and we used to call him Albert Tatlock's Barmy Army, and he was just this one old chap. But it is kind of you or me. Even when I go to gigs now, 60-year-old standing at the back, wouldn't have a leather jacket on perhaps, but yeah.
No, I saw them. I don't know, 3 or 4 times in Cambridge. I think we all popped down to Brixton Academy to see them there as well. Right. They were always good live band, always a cracking live band, in fact, I think I must have seen them 3 times at the Corn Exchange. They were quite sizable proposition back then. They pulled a crowd. And as like I say, Brixton Academy, as far as I remember, that was sold out. I remember I found 20 quid on the floor after that. That was the old days when when everyone was going out, you'd walk along and look at the floor and see what people had dropped out of their pockets. And my friend was there going, "What are you doing?" Yeah, and he's fucking Neil started me doing that. Right. Neil started me doing that. And we used to you'd find a packet of cigarettes and money. And I said to my friend Martin at the time, said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm checking the floor for." He's like, "Oh bloody hell." He goes, "Oh great, look, I found an old earring." And I said, "Oh fuck, I found 20 quid." And he's like, "You bastard." I was like, yeah, £20 notes in on the floor. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something to ask people to comment on somewhere or other. Did you used to, after gigs in the 80s and 90s, did you used to go down afterwards and
check the pavement
and look on the floor for stuff?
I spent I have spent some occasions looking in gutters and so on for dog ends when there were no shops open in the evenings and you wanted a fag. So you've done that a few times.
We used to down the front. If you got down the front after everyone had gone, got down the front before they started sweeping, that's where you'd find the bulk of stuff, because people are like on top of people's heads and jumping up and down. All this bloody shit would fall out of their pocket. Yeah, we were a bright bunch of scavengers. Bloody Neil, it was Neil. Neil started me off doing that. Dear, oh dear. Yes. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, good pick, obviously, because it was on my bloody list. Luckily, I've substitutes, obviously. Yeah.
Take it away for your number one, then.
Okay. So my number one is the Sisters of Mercy.
Oh, right.
First and last and always.
Oh, good Lord.
Just such a brilliant, brilliant album. And if I'm honest, I don't think I was that familiar with them back in those days.
I would never have put you as a fan.
When it actually first, I really like the Sisters of Mercy. Okay. I think I mentioned before I had a girlfriend.
Yeah, happened
back in the just the one. Yeah. Bless her. And it was hard finding partially sighted women with any nose. Oh dear. I'm actually really good looking, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not hideously disfigured. Anyway. Yeah, and she was a goth, and I think I mentioned she had a massive collection of Sisters of Mercy bootlegs, and used to play them all the time. And I was like, I really like this. And I remember they'd split up, and I think they released the Sisterhood LP because there were lots of fights and wrangles over the name. So I think Andrew Eldritch released an album under the name The Sisterhood called Gift, which was awesome. But yeah, and then I kind of went back and looked into their music and really, really liked it. So they were from Leeds, I think, Sisters of Mercy. And this lineup was Andrew Eldritch on lead vocals and sunglasses, and Wayne Hussey was on guitar, Gary Marks, Craig Adams, and the drum machine called Dr. Avalanche. And they were the archetypal goth band. I mean, they were kind of the original. I mean, because if you kind of think Bauhaus were probably the original goth band, possibly, but wouldn't have described themselves as goth. And I think that's where the Sisters of Mercy come in and go, all right, we're goths. We'll take that crown. Do you look a bit dubious about that?
No, not at all. The reason I was kind of lost in thought and going to say something, talking about kind of touching on who the original goth band was, and I'd seen some charts of top goth bands recently, and there was one from one in Rolling Stone magazine, I think, top 25 goth bands ever. And you think, what? You got Iggy Pop, Cocteau Twins, who else? The Cure.
Those Rolling Stones, they're fucking hopeless, and they're American, aren't they? I mean, they're American. Oh well, yeah, definitely. Ex-Mal Deutschland. Yeah.
Anyway,
I think they were pretty. Yeah, but I mean, goth as a genre didn't really exist, did it? Let's face it. It was just a collection of bands and they all dressed in black and slept in cemeteries and things like that.
Cataleptic Fate were kind of semi-goth punk type thing, weren't we?
Oh, totally, yeah. Well, Neil was totally goth.
He still is.
He still is a goth. Yeah, he was a goth. He'll be posting rude messages on Facebook once he hears all that. So the album First and Last Noise was like a culmination of years of EPs. They kept releasing these 12-inch EPs, didn't they?
I didn't really follow much of the Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah. So lots of 12-inch EPs, all these. I mean, Andrew Eldritch is real deep voice. I hear you calling Marianne.
Are you going to do a deep voice?
It's I can't. I assumed that was deep, but it's not. I bet I actually sound like this. I hear you calling. It sounded quite deep to me. But
it wasn't.
I don't think I'm concentrating on the diaphragm.
We've not got time for you to acquire a baritone.
So yes, they're with their drum machine, an Oberheim DMX, nicknamed Dr. Avalanche. They recorded this LP, and it's a cracker. I mean, even now, I listened to it today, and I'd be lying if I said it sounded fresh. It does sound, there is, I think the drum machine more than anything kind of dates it. But if you're an aspiring goth, I mean, you can't do much worse than Sisters of Mercy, really, can you?
They are
goth. And they turned, and after this, I mean, this is kind of, there's some oomph behind it, but nothing like when they what he went on to be when he got kind of reinvent himself with Patricia Morrison on bass, and they recorded Floodland. I mean, that was a behemoth of an album. That was, wasn't it?
I'm not familiar with it.
Was
I don't know it at all.
I just assumed you'd know the Sisters of Mercy.
I won't know who they are.
Back catalogue.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Really?
I've got no Sisters of Mercy's record.
So no, this Corrosion and what was the other single? Mother Russia and Dominion.
No.
Dominion. Some say. Yeah, they were great. I mean, that was probably even more goth than. I mean, this was probably proto goth compared to.
Right.
To the immenseness of Floodland. That really was a staggeringly good album.
Okay.
And it was really, it was really heavy. It was so well put together. Okay. But yeah, First and Last and Always is a great debut album.
I will perhaps at some point give it a listen. I'm sure you'll put something on the playlist.
Genuinely. Yes, I will. Yes, I'll. There's a few. They did a really good. They used to do a cover of Jolene.
Oh, right, another one.
And they also used to do a cover of Emma by Hot Chocolate.
Oh, okay.
And made it into this massive, sad dirge of a song. Emmeline, I'm going to write your name high on that silver screen. Emmeline. Yeah, it was great. Oh, copyright issue. Damn it. Where's my change? Where's my PRS change?
Yeah. No, so that passed me by, Sisters of Mercy, completely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just thought you'd know the Sister Mercy. Well, I've not really got much more to say about them, in all honesty.
Okay. My number two.
Yeah, number two.
We won't cross.
Yeah, number two.
We're number two. You won't cross over on this one, I guarantee it. And more to the point, I'm going to out-goth your Sisters of Mercy to oblivion with the more gothic band by 100-fold. A band probably more gothic than Notre Dame Cathedral.
Fucking hell, this better be good.
More gothic than Pete Murphy's Underpants.
Do goths wear underpants?
Not a matter I've ever given great thought to be honest. So anyway, swiftly moving on. Right, the name of the album that I've chosen from 1985 is Ashes, and the band Christian Death.
Oh fuck! God, I haven't heard them for donkeys.
Well, they're still knocking around.
Jeepers.
Although not the same lineup as many of these bands haven't. So,
were they on Alternative Tentacles?
They've been backwards
Christian
and forwards
Death.
all over. I don't know what label they were on off the top of my head. They've been on several different labels and several different lineups, and there's a whole messy history. But this is the only album I've got by them, and I don't know really where I picked it up or why. I think just been
Keith's probably.
Could have been Keith's, but I don't recall picking it up anywhere specifically. But I did, and probably just because the cover was good, because it's got a very nice black and white cover with pencil drawings on it, and it had a booklet insert, and it's a good name as well. So it's part of that kind of just seeking to discover new things. But it is a very, very good record. It's not wholly consistent. The final track of The Wound, which is a largely spoken word piece, I don't much care for, but the rest is really interesting. It's got really complex song structuring. It's really artistry to it, and I hadn't heard anything quite like it. So we start with Christian Death for a start. They were formed in 1979 in Los Angeles, and they were a punk band initially, and they had members of the Germs and the Adolescents coming in and out of the lineup, and they even in 1982 opened for Angelic Upstarts at a concert. So they went through quite a significant transition. The band's principal founder and vocalist and art designers and violinist, a young lady by the name of Ros Williams. She was in a band called Christian Death, and it's very, very turbulent. I mean, you read about the history of bands, and sometimes you read about the turbulence in them. Christian Death seemed to have had all manner of lineup changes, and there were drug problems and relationship problems and all kinds of things. But she was the founder of Original Christian Death, and when that all broke up, she teamed up with a chap called Valor Cand. Possibly not his Christian name, I don't know his given name. But, and he was, yeah, and he was playing in a band, I think, called Pop.
Sounds like an Eastern European car.
It does, doesn't it, really? Valor Cand.
What are you driving? I've got one of those Valor cans. Well, they're a piece of shit.
A kitchen utensil. Yeah. Yes, it'll make all of your desserts with a brand new Valor Cand. From Curry's. But he was playing in a band called Pompeii 99, I think. And they got together and they carried on under the Christian Death name. And Valor, he provides vocals, piano, a cello, guitar. And for this album, they were joined by another girl, Gitane Demone, who was on keyboard, on keys, which is another nice name, Gitane Demone. Very
I'm sure these all make really good anagrams. I'm sure you get loads of stuff.
Yeah. So so the album, it's their third or fourth or maybe fifth album. I'm not really certain, but it is very interesting record. It opens up with the track Ashes, and that's the best track on it. Opens with a very sparse but dramatic piano line. And then guitars come in, it picks up pace, then Valor comes in with his lead vocals, and he doesn't sound dissimilar to Pete Murphy, probably a bit lower down the register, and probably a little bit more drenched in emotion than Pete Murphy. He was very over the top, perhaps, gothicisms. But then the drums part, gothicism, I'm going to go with that. Don't pick me up on that. I can make up words if I want.
No, I'm impressed. The gothicism.
In board meetings, when I first started taking meetings, I used to get sickened by the arrogance of some of the people in these meetings. I would occasionally make up words and see who picked them up. And there was an occasion we had, I won't say who, just in case a relative of his is listening, but when I was in the Foundries, we had a particularly arrogant managing director. And in a meeting, I made up a word, and one of my greatest achievements in my career was at a future board meeting. He chose to use that same word that I'd made up. I think it was porpid or porpidity or something like that. I said things are getting a bit porpid, and he came out with it, slams around on the desk, and goes, "Fucking porpid, you lot," or something like that. Anyway,
Brilliant.
So there's lots of gothicness going on. Ros Williams comes in with the backing vocals, then the chorus really takes off, and it's really, really fabulous. Incredibly interesting structure, very, very good chord progressions, and as the song goes on, it just accelerates and gets faster and faster. And Williams is screaming, and it gets faster, as if the whole thing's been drawn into a vortex before finally collapsing in on itself. So it is the best track on the album, but there was some really interesting bits on there as well. And like you'd expect of a gothic album, there's chanting, there are drones, there are experimental sound and rock, there's babies crying, and all kinds of the gothic music tropes that you would pretty much put on there.
Fuck, we used to listen to some stuff,
didn't we? Yes.
There's
a track on there called Lament Over the Shadows, and Williams sings as if she's possessed by the spirit of Marlene Dietrich. And then Face is a almost straightforward rock song. There's all kinds of things going on in it, but it's really interesting. Ashes was the final album before Williams left the band, and again it was another acrimonious bust-up, but she went and she killed herself in 1998, sadly, but apparently not before being crucified on stage as part of the stage show. I'm not sure if that was a true crucifixion or would just strap you up to a cross or whatever, I don't know. But Valor continues Christian Death, now with a woman called Maitri. And just in the last couple of weeks, and our mate Neil will know all about this, I'm sure, they're just finishing a tour of North American with Gene Loves Jezebel, which clearly one of Neil's big faves. So he will know all about that. Yes. And I'm sure he'll know a lot more about Christian Death than I or you do. But for me, a standout record of some distinctiveness and interest, and it's got some really, really fine bits on it. Ashes by Christian Death.
Do you know, I probably the last time I would have listened to anything by Christian Death is probably about the same time as that came out. I know I've listened to some, back in those days, but I don't remember ever listening to Christian Death again. I'll give it a bash when I think the thing with goth is that I don't ever remember any of them having much of a sense of humour. Which and when you said all those chanting and I thought, oh fucking hell, I can imagine them standing on there being all serious on stage and all po-faced and that. You know, I think that was the thing. I think I always thought Bauhaus had a sense of humour. I don't think I think Bauhaus took themselves a lot less seriously than people thought.
I'd say the same about Alien Sex Fiend. I always thought Alien Sex Fiend had a bit of a joke, bit of a tongue-in-cheek going on throughout it all. Yeah. Oh god, yeah, because there was that whole Batcave thing as well, wasn't there? Yeah. I think it lost me. It lost the whole goth. I mean, I was never a goth per se. You know, I liked the music. I liked Sister Mercy, and I liked Bauhaus, and obviously the Cure always got lumped in with the goth. Susie and the Banshees.
Susie and the Banshees, yes,
there
indeed.
Bands in the goth category, which I wouldn't have really called goth, but if they're going to be goth, so be it. But I really like them.
Well, the Cocteau Twins get lumped in with goth, don't they? And they weren't particularly, black-clad miserabilists. I think they were quite miserable, but I don't think they were.
They weren't upbeat, happy, bouncy things. I think goth music is music for people. It's introspective music, isn't it? It is looking to the dark depths of your own soul rather than go out, party, change the system, whatever it is. It's a more introverted type of music, perhaps.
Yeah, it has to be singular, because if you're looking at the dark depths of our souls, it would be a lot more.
That's good. I like that. That's clever. Yeah, you're a very good one. Oh, God. You take it down to the depths. Okay, so there's points for being witty, but you've dragged it down again, haven't you? Dragged it down a tone or two.
Anyway, okay, so my number 2, now that you've taken my actual number 2.
Are you going to bang on about that all through the episode,
Well, I normally do. Whenever you do, you just let it go. I just whinge fucking for an hour and a half. Go, you stole my bloody band. I've done my substitute anyway. That's kind of ready to go. I did have, funny enough, I changed one at the last minute earlier today. But my number 2 is, I suppose, could be classified as goth as well, actually.
Are we coming into goth territory completely here now, are we?
I'll give you a clue.
Oh, don't start testing me. You know what I'm like this time of night.
You'll get this. Down, 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 down. Come on.
Come on. I'm too busy laughing at your twangy noises. No, I didn't recognise it. What is it? Do it again.
Fuck off. I'll do the rest of it. The down, 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 down.
Oh, is that the mission?
No, the fucking cult.
The cult. Oh, you get so abusive, you tetchy cock. Get out. Oh, I get paid for this insult. I never liked them very much either.
Love. By the cult.
Yes, I know it now,
By the cult. So not necessarily goth, more kind of, this was them kind of going towards their rock god, the start of the rock god phase that's been ongoing for some time. I mean, the cult, obviously, well, I think everyone knows the cult is. They're one of the kind of most famous rock bands. Are they?
I don't know. I don't know if everybody would know who they are.
Yeah, fundamentally, it's Ian Astbury and Billy Duffy. Ian Astbury, singer, songwriter. Billy Duffy, guitar hero. Previously in Theatre of Hate, and I think the Not Sensibles, wasn't he? Is that where he started? Was it the Not Sensibles? One of those Manchester punk bands that Billy Duffy started
I
in?
was never really interested in them. I quite liked it.
Really?
I mean, when they were Southern Death Cult, I liked the name.
So I was going to say Southern Death Cult because they were Southern Death Cult, and they were quite popular in a cult kind of way, weren't they? I mean, they even made it onto the Tube, Southern Death Cult, and then they dropped the Southern and became Death Cult, and released Dreamtime and a couple of EPs, I think, and kind of got away from that. The Southern Death Cult was a bit more of that tribal sounding thing that was popular around those days, and then the Death Cult was kind of the first steps into the rockier territories, but still quite gothy, I suppose. The Cult of Love was that big step, wasn't it? Was Dreamtime, were they still Death Cult or Dreamtime? Yes, they were, because I saw them do the Death Cult show a couple of years ago when they played most of Dreamtime and Some of Love. It was very good gig. That was down at Brixton, Electric Brixton. So anyway, the Love was released in October 1985. Reached number 4 in the UK charts and had 3 singles. She Sells Sanctuary, which is just a full-on rock classic now, isn't it? Let's face it.
It was a big record, certainly.
Even though you didn't recognise the intro.
It's your terrible rendition of it. Sounded like
something
on the ukulele.
Exactly. That was so accurate. That was so accurate. You know, in fact, I'm going to put a poll when we post this episode. I'm going to do a poll so you can. Was my rendition of She Sells Sanctuary intro?
I shouldn't bother because I'm going to cut that out.
Accurate? It's right. Then Rain and Revolution. It's Revolution. And it sold. Guess how many copies Love sold?
16.
Fuck off.
I don't know.
Let me do that again. 2.5 million copies.
Okay.
I was quite impressed with that. I had no idea it sold that. But it's a fantastic album. But do you know, I kind of I loved Southern Death Cult. I thought they were great. Death Cult at that time I didn't really get into. And I didn't really pay a lot of attention to Love when it first came out. And then a friend of mine gave me taped an album for me and gave me the tape. And on the B side, he'd put the Cult Love, but he hadn't written anything on it, and I had no idea who it was. So I played the album he recorded for me, turned it over just to see what was on the other side. Started listening. So I thought, this is really good. This is really good. I vaguely recognise this. And I asked him, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's the new Cult album." I was like, "Whoa, this is really good." And it's great. It's got some crackers on as well, obviously, as She Sells Sanctuary, which I just did a really good rendition of
banjo version.
You've got Nirvana, the first song, the Big Neon Glitter. Look, I could reel these off.
You are,
and I can reel more off. I can reel them all off, and I can kind of just play every one in my head. I know this album so well now. And they went on to. I mean, after this, there was Electric, which was okay. That had Love Removal Machine on it, but I always felt Electric was mastered so badly. It just always sounded really muddy to me. And I never really enjoyed it that much.
Okay.
And the other thing I was thinking, they re-released this a few years ago, and 4AD or Beggar's Banquet did these editions of it called omnibus editions, and they did this, and they did the first 2 Bauhaus albums, and they put them in these really lovely books, and the books were proper decent reading material. The history of the band, the history of the recording sessions. You had CDs with the demos on, you had live tracks. There were 2 or 3 CDs in each one, and I think they all retailed for probably 15, 16 quid at the time, which still even now isn't expensive. And I think they did 5 all and stopped dead. Did a couple of Fall albums as well. I never did them. I was really annoyed. So Beggar's Banquet, if you're listening, do some more of those bloody omnibus editions and do some fucking ones for Exmal Deutschland, because they're screaming out for. I mean, they've just re-released the Exmal Deutschland albums, but they didn't put enough extras on. I just, I wanted more.
Greedy
wanted
boy.
Peel sessions, and I wanted, But yeah, so 1985, my second pick, The Cult, Love. Great album.
Okay. If only you could do a rendition of the opening to She Sells Sanctuary or something, it would have made such a difference. But never mind. Okay.
Sorry, I just thought I'd do it again
Still,
for you,
it
just to annoy
still
you.
doesn't work for me. It still sounds like Jolene again, I think. Okay, my number 3.
I'm begging of you, please enjoy my intro.
Okay, don't know whether this is going to be a crossover or not. The possibilities are there, but my number 3 pick is This Nation's Saving Grace by The Fall. No. Okay, Fall, formed in Prestwich.
I should explain when you've done your bit.
You will explain.
Yeah, why wasn't my pick?
Oh, okay.
Why I didn't pick it.
Okay. So the Fall formed in Prestwich, Manchester, 1976. They were 4 mates who had got together to share their written works, not song lyrics or anything as such, but they were all writing stuff and taking drugs together. And like a lot of people who were starting bands at the time, they were motivated to do so having caught an appearance of the Sex Pistols. So whatever you make of the Sex Pistols, love them or loathe them as a band, there's no doubt at all that they did kickstart a whole range of fantastic and diverse music from people who perhaps otherwise would not have bothered.
Have we actually talked about the Sex Pistols?
Not, I don't think. Did you have? You had Never Mind the Bollocks on one of your lists, didn't you?
I don't actually remember.
An early one. We have touched
possibly
on them. Or you have to have a look. See,
Yeah. Weird. It's weird how we haven't really gone into any detail on the Sex Pistols.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus.
there's lots of people we've
not
spoken about yet who undoubtedly will get some.
Yes.
Some talking.
That is very true.
Okay, so they formed up, and the main man and the only person that stayed true throughout the whole thing, stayed a member throughout the whole thing, Mark E. Smith. And they had multiple lineups, a lot of it, I think, because Mark E. Smith was a particularly demanding, a cantankerous person to work with, very exacting. I think, like Captain Beefheart, who had a real reputation for being a hard taskmaster and had people locked away in a room for days and days and days to get one little bit of music right. I think Mark E. Smith had similar perfectionist characteristics. But it was very prolific. Did some great albums, great singles over the lifetime of the band, and famously became one of John Peel's large favourites. 24 sessions they did for John Peel. 24. I don't know if anybody bettered that. I would be surprised.
I think the next closest one was a Wedding Present.
Well, yeah, could be, yeah.
But I don't think they beat the Fall. Because both bands have CD box sets of their Fall sessions.
Well, there you go, the Peel sessions.
So if it's a CD box set, there's a fair few sessions on there. Yeah.
Okay, so look, a lot of the bands that I like, certainly repetition was a specific aspect of what they did, and again, it was conscious, it was willfully done, because Mark E. Smith, who here and after referred to as just Mark was very cognizant of the power that simple repetition had. And in a lot of their songs on this album and others, where there were verses and choruses and verses and choruses, which are distinct lyrically, the music just rolls over, and it's just the same melody, the same hook, the same pattern, despite the fact that the lyrics are changing, and you're therefore giving an indication that it's a verse or a chorus. But I think it really worked very well. As I said, I'd seen them a couple of times, and I think I mentioned on a previous episode about one of their performances at ATP where poor old Mark's false teeth kept coming out. But in later years, he got quite ill, and he's even been on stage in a wheelchair, but still fractious. And as I say, demanding and a hard taskmaster, even to the point where there have been punch-ups on stage. I think on one occasion, he just ripped all the leads out the amplifiers so everybody would stop playing. He was a curmudgeonly soul, I think you'd say, and he'd probably recognise that himself. But this album, curmudgeonly.
I think you're letting him off lightly.
Yes, a violent psychopath, perhaps, but he certainly knew what he wanted. The Fall was him. It was his vision, and whatever role the original members had as they faded away and then left, the Fall was Marky Smith. He knew what he wanted to achieve. He knew what he wanted it to sound like, and he pretty much took the autocratic dictator's chair, I think, and hence this huge turnover of other musicians who came in, did as much as they could, and got burnt out or chucked out. So it's a great album, this one, and one of my favourites. It's got some fantastic tracks on it, like Barmy, which is, I've got no idea what it's about. And again, it's another feature of the Fall, I think, and perhaps a lot of bands, when you really think about it, that the lyrics are not explicit. They're not, this is the story I'm going to tell you, and this is the feeling you will get from it, and this is the understanding you will have at the end of it. It's a string of words which perhaps sometimes mean something to the writer, and perhaps sometimes don't. And consequently, I have no idea what this is about. Something to do with World War One. It's pretty cryptic, but it's very upbeat and bouncy, almost like party music. You got Spoilt Victorian Child on it. Again, really repetitive, but it's a great hook. And there's this odd breakdown in the middle. So whilst it is really repetitive, and the pattern and the melody turns over and turns over, suddenly it all kind of breaks down to this very quiet bit, and Mark is mumbling away, and then just suddenly it goes back to where it was. So it's almost as if he thought, well, we really need a break in this for some reason, but I haven't really thought about what that break's going to be or what it's going to mean. Let's just just mumble it, just stop the music.
Maybe we should use that technique for the podcast if we kind of get a bit bored.
I can do that. And it's got I Am Damo Suzuki on there, which kind of illustrates influences that Marky Smith had in his mind, because Damo Suzuki famously was a singer with German experimental rock band Can. And I think Mark had a great deal of respect for him, hence I Am Damo Suzuki. But that's probably the best track on the album. I don't know, because everything is going at a different tempo, but it really works. It's chaos, but it really works. Brick Smith had joined the band before this album. She co-wrote significant parts of it. She was one of the ephemeral band members, but importantly, she was also, I don't know whether she married Marky Smith or whether she was just a girlfriend.
No, she did marry him, yeah, because she was something else before she was Brick Smith after she married Marky Smith. She was something else before that, because she was in, what band was she in before that?
She was in the Adult Net. I got an Adult Net record, and that's her. But I don't know if that's after the Fall or before. No, it must be after.
I think that might have been after.
She was Brick Smith.
Yeah.
So you're checking it up, aren't you?
I am, yes. Can you tell? I was looking furtive and tapping away on my keyboard. Don't really say.
Well, as we suffice it to say, the band carried on, Mark and whoever else he assembled around him, until 2018, where at the age of 60, he succumbed to cancer. And given the fact that, as we said, it was clear to everybody, close and far, that the Fall had become Marky Smith, there could be no Fall after his end. So that was the end of the Fall. They leave a fantastic catalogue behind them. This 1985 album, This Nation's Saving Grace, is, for me, one of their finer moments.
Yeah, I never really got into the Fall to any great degree. there were singles that I liked. I always liked the really what was the I think Bingo's Masters Breakout.
Yeah,
that was a good one, and How I Wrote Elastic Man, and some of those Mr. Pharmacist.
Yeah.
But I was kind of a casual listener to the Fall. Like, I couldn't. The whole LP didn't really appeal to me. You know, I just didn't. You know, I mean, I always appreciated Marquis Smith, but yeah, couldn't do the whole bloody Could do a whole LP.
Don't get me wrong, you know, I wouldn't say that The Fall were one of the best bands ever. And certainly back in the 80s, that there were people I knew that were much bigger fans of The Fall than I was. But I think as time's gone on, as the 80s turned into the 90s and so on, and you acquire more records and you pay more of a focus and you're not so pissed out your head or stoned you can actually listen to them. I think, you know, I've appreciated them more. And certainly I can go back and listen to The Fall, some of their albums, quite happily.
Yeah, I think I always quite liked Hex Induction now. I'm just reading through a list of them.
I Am Curious
I think that was the one I enjoyed. No, not so much. Dragnet, I vaguely remember listening to Dragnet.
Ben Sinister, that's a great one.
Fiery Jack, that was one of the singles.
Yeah,
Rouch Rumble, that was a good one. And what was the other one? Did he do some about Industrial Estate?
Yeah, Industrial Estate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right, yeah. I really like that. That was one of my favourites.
Yeah. They're strange records. They're quite simple in many respects, I suppose, you know, just blasting away and start and stop. Not a great deal of complexity to them, but they're great.
Yeah, okay. The Fall, nice one. So, my number 3... I've picked these guys before, but I couldn't go through 1985 without picking Psycho Candy by the Jesus and Mary Chain, because it is. I've got a list of my favourite LPs, and this has been on it since the day it came out. I mean, I spoke about. Upside Down and the effect that Upside Down had on me when that came. When the first time I heard that was like, whoa, you know, I don't remember ever, you know, even back in the punk days, there was never anything that made my jaw drop quite as much as Upside Down did. And they followed it up with Psycho Candy. After Upside Down, Jesus Mary Chain released Never Understand.
Brilliant.
Which was a howling.
That was a great record.
A howling maelstrom of noise, and while the initial shock of Upside Down had worn off by then, this was just whoa. Yeah. You know, this was just, you know, food of the gods to me. I mean, it was just like
almost like two bands in some respects playing at the same time, because you got that absolute white noise, scathing guitar, which could have been a power electronics band or something, and then you got these wonderful riffs and melodies going on with the singing and the bass and that, and they're both at the same time. Kind of like playing Nick Cave while you got Whitehouse coming out the other speaker, perhaps.
I was going to say it's as if Phil Spector was recording records on a building site.
Yeah.
You know, it was that kind of thing. So they followed up with Never Understand with You Trip Me Up.
Another classic.
I mean, my gosh, you know, just a classic single. And then the album came out, and wow, I mean, for everything about it was just amazing. I mean, you've got these 4 louts from East Kilbride in Scotland who had made these fantastic singles, had just outraged everybody by paying 20-minute gigs, smashing things up, everything ended in riots.
Indeed,
you know, their bass only had 1 string. You know, Bobby Gillespie was drumming with just 2 drums, no drum kit. And it was just like, goodness me, just what the fuck is going on? And then this album came out, and it was just the most glorious noise. And like I say, it was as if Phil Spector had recorded the album, and then they'd gone next door and just, played squealing feedback over it for the majority of songs.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. These cavernous drums, this kind of, almost 60s bubblegum style lyrics, and singing over, and then this just wall of screaming guitars. It was fantastic. And then, of course, they kind of released Just Like Honey,
which has got one of their best tracks on it. Good for My Soul is absolutely noise pop perfection.
It's just oh man. And then what was the other thing? Some Candy Talking as well, which I don't think was on the that on the album? I don't think it was.
Not on there, no.
Just Like Honey is, and they all wore black. They had, their hair was all over the place. They wore sunglasses indoors, but yet they weren't goth though.
No, they weren't, but
far from goth.
Why not?
They were in. I mean, they were. I don't know. It just wasn't that goth style of music, was it? I mean, all the goths would have gone crawling back to their coffins as soon as they heard the screaming noise of the Jesus and Mary chain. I
was being facetious really by saying they're goth, because I wouldn't call them goth. But when you're looking at the way they looked, the fact they're very outside of music, perhaps introspective, they would probably, by that definition, fit gothic music. Iggy Pop in the Cocteau Twins and Alien Sex Fiend, all these bands that are quite disparate and different, I think they would.
I would say, if anything, they were the forerunners of shoegaze, because I think I spoke about that. I know. I think I spoke about this previously as well. In that, the whole shoegaze thing. Once the Jesus and Mary chain came out, all the indie bands just discovered feedback and screaming guitars and pedals, and just fuzzed up everything. And made the most glorious rackets, some of them. I mean, there was some superb bands followed in the wake of Jesus Mary Chain. I mean, most of Creation labels bands were, with the exception of probably of Oasis. I would think Oasis were probably the most traditional rock band on Creation.
Yeah, well, just the Beatles again, but there you go.
You're just sneering, aren't you? You're sneering at Oasis, which is fair. I'm not going to argue. I mean, I'm not going to go into an Oasis thing anyway. But So and Jesus Mary Chain still going strong today, and still. I mean, the last album they did, which was called Glasgow something. That was really good. That was a pretty good LP. Yeah, still going strong. Yeah. No, I mean, the only thing was, from in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, after Psycho Candy, I was never as interested, because I think Psycho Candy was a one-off. Yeah. You couldn't repeat it. And you couldn't use that noise again, because I think it would have just been, which I appreciate now, but at the time when they went on to Darklands, I missed all that noise. And I think I kind of dismissed Darklands a bit when I shouldn't have done, and I should have kept on. And as it is, I go back to some of the Jesus and Mary Chain albums now, and they don't quite fit, because they don't quite fit into my picture of the Jesus and Mary Chain. I can't quite get into it. Do you know what I mean? I think if I'd have just accepted that they were changing and followed along, I'd have enjoyed everything a lot more. But unfortunately, I'm shallow like that.
As a band, if you've got a winning formula, it really wins, then you've got a real tough choice. Do you just carry on and make more records the same, or do you change? It's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is.
So Jesus and Mary Chain, they didn't have a great many options but to change their style, one would argue.
Yeah. yeah, and I suppose, like I say, you know, I kind of wish I'd just, you know, taken it and carried on. But I mean, I think there are bands who do the same thing over and over again, and then there are those who, I mean, the Clash, for example, changed dramatically, you know, from the first album to the fifth, and I thought, I don't count Cut the Crap, obvs, and I followed them all the way and enjoyed it. But then other bands,
it is very much a matter of fate and fortune whether or not you're criticised or lauded for changing. Like you say, you followed the Clash when they changed their style quite dramatically, but there was no doubt there was an absolute whirlwind of abuse and criticism.
Oh, totally.
Shed their roots and so on. And then you get bands like the Police, who get criticised for essentially releasing the same album over and over again and not changing or doing anything different.
Damned if you do, like damned if you don't.
You damned if you don't. I mean, the Ramones did the same thing for album after album after album, and everybody adored it. But you know, it depends on the fan base and the I don't know what it depends on. You know, it doesn't seem to make any logical. There's no logical explanation for whether you'll get criticised or lauded for one thing or the other.
No, that is very true. It's very difficult, isn't it? I was reading again today. We've covered Slowdive quite a lot, and I was kind of reading something about them today, and getting a bit more context about when they started to be. I mean, because like I said, they were hated by the press. You know, they'd started off and everyone's going, oh, they're great, you know, and then all of a sudden, I think even from the first LP, they started coming in for criticism because you know, shoegaze was dying. I mean, when Souvlaki came out, I think that was that was criticised as well. And by the time Pygmalion came out, you know, you were into Britpop. And shoegaze by that time was dead and buried. But then you did see bands like Lush who kind of, they changed their style, not drastically, but they managed to go from a shoegaze band into, you know, and kind of slid themselves into Britpop. As much as they despised Britpop, you know, I think it was just a necessary thing for them. So
with shoegaze, there's probably more scope because what the music relies on isn't a single one-dimensional element. With the Jesus and Mary chain, their real unique selling point, as it were, was this absolutely fearsome guitar sound over the top of what was otherwise conventional music.
Yeah, totally.
So they could either keep the fearsome guitar sound and drop or move on from that melodious kind of 60s style music, or keep the musical side and drop the ferocious guitar. If you like, you know, like a power electronics band, if their USP is with just a ferocious wall of electronic sound, what do you do with that? You don't start playing country music, do you?
No.
You throw the baby out with the
bathwater. That's kind of like Benefits to a degree, isn't it? Because Benefits were a ferocious, almost power electronics band with you know, Kingsley's vocals over the top. And they kind of took a bit of a shift over to a more stayed with electronics, but more of a dancey electronics feel to this year's LP.
And I don't criticise them for doing that, but I don't like to listen to what they do today as much as I did with the earlier material.
Oh, really? See, I enjoy his lyrics. I enjoy what he writes. I think that kind of outweighs the backing music. You know, I think what he writes is more important. You know, because he is capturing the times and doing it very well and very eloquently. But
at the end of the day, it's music.
Oh yeah, totally, it is music.
If the music. I mean, if he was if you took his writing and his voice and put it over country music or something, you would be repelled by it.
Oh,
I'm
totally.
sure.
Yeah.
The lyrics are only going to carry you so far.
Oh,
See,
absolutely.
the music has still
But
got to hit
the music
the mark.
hasn't changed that much. I mean, you know, you've gone. It's still electronic. It's just less harsh noise and a bit more. I don't want to say palatable, but you know, it is moving as slightly accessible. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, let's we've digressed as usual. It's your number.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, number.
My number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've been all over the place. We've been goth, we've been punk, we've been power electronics.
But we've always been
now
up
we're going off in a completely different
We've always
tangent.
been up in the north of England, interestingly, and Scotland.
Oh well, this
north.
is a definite.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, again, this is a complete contrast, because not only is it a million miles away from that kind of music, but it's not a million miles, but it's many thousands of miles away from that territory geographically, because we're going to South America and to traditional South American tribal music.
Fucking didn't see that coming, I have to admit.
I didn't expect this to be a crossover. No. So in 1981, there was a bunch of musicians who were essentially playing as part of a dance company, Ballet R.E.M, and they'd worked on a particular piece called Ghost Dances, which related directly to political oppression in South America and in Chile in particular. And I think because of the passion that these musicians were immersed in it, because of the fact that some of them were from South America, they decided that this was a big enough issue and a big enough moment to form a band. So they did in 1981, and it's a band called Incantation, not the thrash metal band Incantation.
Okay.
Is that what you're going to say?
No, I fucking know. I know the name Incantation. Didn't they do Carry On? And I'll tell you if it's.
Yeah, they didn't do Carry On. No, that was Sid James, Hattie Jakes. That was the team. There.
Matron.
So this album, 1985, is a compilation of various other material, because I've got a few other albums, and this was Music of the Andes, and it's a mixed lineup of English, Irish and Chilean musicians, and they're fantastic musicians. They're playing ethnic instruments, they have a great sound, great arrangements, great musicality, unconfrontational.
Is this like me picking Enya? Is it? Yeah,
it could be. It could be, because it is a bit, it gets unfairly, I think, put into the kind of new agey kind of easy listening type thing. They use panpipes because they use panpipes in South America, but a lot of it is protest music, and it is fantastically played, fantastically done. And I've got several of their albums, and I am not at all embarrassed by that. This particular record is very crackly vinyl. It's a very old one, but it just kind of adds to the feeling, because there's no MIDI in any of the recording, there's no Marshall stacks, there's no racks of black boxes and pulsing lights. It's all traditional Andean instruments and singing in local languages as well, Aymara and various other languages of that space. So there isn't a bad track on the whole album. It's consistently well played and consistently just... that's better. I'll take the Dead Kennedys off, and I'll take a step back, and I'll put myself into it, because I'm going to go out driving, and I don't want to go out driving with too drunk to fuck in my head, because I'll get into another road rage incident. So I'll put on some Incantation, some Gorecki or something. So it is the kind of music that I would listen to ordinarily, not sitting in a darkened room, or not when I'm feeling hyper. It's what I put on if I'm driving, because
you don't want to twat
it
somebody.
Helps. Indeed, it does help enormously in that respect. If it helps in that respect, I think that's powerful enough.
Do you think it'd be helpful to do an episode on all our mental health issues? Because I reckon that'll be a fucking 90 minutes. That would take 90 minutes, wouldn't it?
It would explain a lot, wouldn't it? You know, I love that album. It's not cool, it's not trendy, it's not fierce or innovative, but it's fantastic in the skill, the musicianship, the sentiment, everything.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I knew I'd heard it. I just automatically go Panpipes. because I
Panpipes,
think,
yeah, it's very derisory way.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I think it is, and I think that's, that's, I don't know, that's just from when it came out, and the whole Panpipes thing did become a bit of
a joke.
Yeah, it did, and it's unfortunate, really, and unfair.
There's a lot
as
more
well.
to it than Panpipes.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
lots of instrumentation beyond that.
Totally, yeah. Yes. Oh, cool. Okay, so my number 4 is again a band I've discussed at length previously, but it's such a brilliant LP that I couldn't leave it out, and it's the third R.E.M. LP, Fables of the Reconstruction, or Reconstruction of the Fables, or Fables of the Reconstruction of the Fables, however you want to read it. And this was the beauty of R.E.M. There was so much of this cryptic stuff, the lyrics in the cover art, everything about them just was mystery, and Fables the Reconstruction was the third, like I say, the third LP, and it was a kind of a different kettle of fish than the first two. It was, I personally thought it was a lot more. It was their kind of their first stepping stone towards rock. Even though it was produced in London by a folk by Joe Boyd, who was associated with the folk movement, and a lot of the lyrics in Fables of Reconstruction are kind of folky lyrics. I mean, a lot of it is, or what you can make out is, there was a slightly less murmuring than the first two LPs, and a lot of the lyrics were a lot more upfront and decipherable, unlike Murmur, which was pretty much murmured all the way through. Reckoning was slightly more understandable, and this was a lot more explicit in some of these, and some fantastic songs. It's kind of in the annals of R.E.M. history, it's kind of looked back on as their dark album, because they came to London and to record it, and it was dingy and dismal and dank and dirty and other words that begin with D. It was.
Where in London were they?
North London. Say no more. Yeah. But I mean, London was. I mean, you're talking 80. They would have recorded this in late 84, 85, I think. And London was dirty back then. That you'd go up to London. I think we've covered this before. You'd come back from London, blow your nose, and half a ton of soot would fall out. So it's understandable. And apparently the recording sessions didn't go that brilliantly. But if you read interviews with R.E.M. nowadays, they look back on it quite fondly, and they do, and some of these songs are classics. I mean, Feeling Gravity's Pull is the start off, and that was this kind of almost, well, not quite Jesus Mary Chain style feedback, but this feedback in guitar, and it was like, whoa, because before that had been very jangly, birdsy type music, and this was a lot darker. Maps and Legends, Driver 8 was about trains, basically. Old Man Kinsey was a lot of these were kind of Old Man Kinsey was written about someone who lived back in Athens, Georgia. And again, as I spoke about last time I discussed R.E.M, this myth of Athens, Georgia, where they came from, became all encompassing with R.E.M, and all part of the mystery. Athens, Georgia was this, it was this gothic
You're
place.
very much into the spooky hands.
I am doing spooky
hands.
hands. I'll do next week. I'm going to just do fucking jazz hands all the time, just to really annoy you. Someone said, I think Neil said, when are you going to start, doing the podcast as videos? And I was like, you don't want to fucking see us doing jazz hands and whatever other faces we're pulling. My cats walking across, showing their bum holes to the camera.
No. The temptation to modify your appearance in Final Cut would be too great, I'm afraid.
Yeah, totally. So and this was side A was A side, side B was another side. And then on side B, had one of my favourite R.E.M. songs finished it off, Wendell G, which is it's got banjos. It was this slow story about a man fixing a tree with chicken wire, and but was exactly what you expected from Michael Stipe at that time. Michael Stipe, who actually follows us on Instagram. Very chuffed about that I was. But yeah, and it's a cracking album. It was the first R.E.M. album that I really listened to and really enjoyed, and was my introduction to them. And I absolutely loved it. And it is a brilliant. And there's a reissue. The remastered version has all the demos they did and they took with them. And they're pretty much fully formed songs. I don't really think they, obviously they glossed them up slightly. And there's a really good video of them on Rock Palast, the famous German rock TV show where they used to show full concerts of bands. And R.E.M. did two, and I think one of them was around about this time. And I'm pretty sure Michael Stipe was. I think he at one point he shaved a monk's tonsure into his head. Another time he went on and he used to use mustard to colour in his eyebrows.
Oh god.
He was, I think they were all a bit bonkers around that time. Because they toured constantly. They toured, recorded, which is what made them. They were a proper mega band who worked from nothing, toured all the shitholes in America and Europe, and slowly got this cult following. It helped that they were the best band in the world at that time as well. It's a fantastic album. Every single aspect of it, the artwork, the songs, everything about it is just spot on, as was everything always was with R.E.M. So number 4, Fables of the Reconstruction of the Fables of the Reconstruction of the Fables by R.E.M.
R.E.M. As with the last episode, well, not the last episode, but the episode where you originally spoke a great volume of R.E.M., I am unable to contribute anything because I've never owned nor ever wanted to own an R.E.M. record.
You really should give them a chance. I think a lot of people look at, automatically associate them with the later stuff. And especially with Automatic for the People, which I think has become kind of a love or hate, record. And Losing My Religion, it has just been played so many times, it's just lost any meaning, really.
I like the song, not enough to buy it, but I like that.
If you kind of take it in context and imagine them recording these things in 82. Even start with like Chronic Town or the original Radio Free Europe single, and just work your way through. They were a fantastic rock band, and they progressed. They had a starting point and they had an end point, and the end point wasn't probably where fans wanted them to be. We'd probably have preferred they stopped around Monster, that Monster, maybe New Adventures in Hi-Fi, but as a whole, as I said, that was the first time when a band split up. I was genuinely upset that they called it a day, and and they're worth, you know, they're worth a bit of effort, you know, just to go. Actually, they were a fucking good rock band. They really were.
I could probably expect to like a lot more of their catalogue than I've been exposed to before. I think the difficulty is there is not enough time in the day or the week or the month to listen to the stuff that I'm buying at the moment. I'm buying records, still listening to him once, and then the next one comes through the door or whatever, as has often been the case. So I think if you miss an opportunity to capture a band and they develop a catalogue and you're not in touch with that, it's a big commitment to say, okay, I'll give you a chance now and I'll listen to those 6 albums you've already created. Because even then, let's say I like 3 or 4 of them and I buy 3 or 4 of them, and then more is coming in the post. Will I really listen to them?
True.
It's difficult. It's difficult. So I don't have anything against R.E.M, but I think I just missed that contact point, and never felt compelled to divert and say, okay, I'll dip in.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm the same with the Replacements. We spoke about the Replacements the other day, and I'm happy listening to Tim a lot, and the others I dip into occasionally, but not particularly often. I'll never go and buy the rest of the things. So Tim is enough. But yes.
So his mum would say, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, my 5th and final one of the year 1985 is an album called One Struggle, One Fight. And we're back into more familiar territory here. We're back up to Blighty, and we are with the wonderful band, the Varukers.
Oh, bloody hell.
And the Varukers, Anthony Rat Martin on vocals, formed in 1979. Bruce Riddle, Tom Lowe on guitars, Gary Maloney on bass, and originally some other guy called Gary on drums. But from what I've read, nobody can remember who that was. No. It wasn't me anyway. With the Varukers, you've got a thoroughly fierce, totally D-beat, anarcho, punk, thrash, and they are brilliant. And I suppose if you're not engaged in that whole anarcho, thrash, punk scene, from an outside you might say, well, they just sound like Discharge, or they just sound like MDC or whatever. But it really, they do have a distinctive sound within that subset of a subset. And this was their 3rd album. Subject matter exactly the same as just characteristic of that whole subset of the genre. Resisting the establishment, sacking off nuclear weapons, getting rid of apartheid, the division in human society, anti-vivisection, anti-war, all of those things. And okay, they might be well-worn polemics, but they are still relevant today. And there's nothing that can get you involved and engaged with that fierce music as much as feeling that it's got some values, some principles beyond simply this is a piece of music. It's a sad reflection, to be honest, on the progress of anarchist punk that they're still playing today and still singing about the same things as many bands are, because when you think about it, we've had 45 years of anarcho punk, the protests, the diatribes, the publications, the music, the effort, the energy, the talent that has gone into let's change this fucking world. And we come to a point where the right is in the ascendant, the environment is collapsing, society is divided and full of hate, wars are proliferating. Makes you wonder.
Happy days. Happy days.
There's a Canadian anti-capitalist organisation that I've supported for over 30 years, and then just before some big protests in North America a few months ago, they reached out to me and all of their membership, I assume, to say, what do you think of left-wing protests? Shall we all get out on the street, stop the city again? I had to say, just look, I mean, the exhilaration of being on a demo or a protest, I've been there, it's great fun, and you think you're doing things. But when you step back and look at what's really changing, There've been some small victories here and there, tweaks to the law or whatever, but essentially every protest is fuel for the right wing, because the scenes of disruption that are shown across the media, all the sensationalist parts of any protest, are just held out as some illustration that the left wing are all balmy and should be ignored.
Oh, yeah.
So it works against us. I think what needs to happen is all of the multitude of disparate left-wing organisations should recognise that they are all essentially looking for the same world.
Yeah.
A world that is free of inequality, pollution, commercial corruption, political incompetence and so on, and join forces to the best extent they can. But anyway, the Varukers. Fantastic band, as I say. I've seen them a couple of times. The last time I saw Discharge was after Cal had left, and they'd got Rat singing. He stepped into the frame to sing for Discharge, and I think he still does.
He does. I was about to say, I think he sings for sings for Discharge,
and the Varukers as well. Yeah. So he's the front man for two current bands out on the touring scene, which must be quite a challenge for him.
Yeah,
but he hasn't got to change his singing voice or his clothes or anything, and it's pretty much as it is. So great album. The last Varukers record I got was How Do You Sleep, which came out on Go-Kart Records in 2000, and thankfully, as I said, nothing much has changed. I think there were a few tiny moments where you think, oh, it's a little bit metalish, but nothing as egregious as Discharge's decline into substandard metal. Although I think I read somewhere that they've kind of tried to get back to what they were doing before, and I guess if Rat's singing with them, still they will have got rid of some of that metalism. I don't know.
Yeah.
But great stuff. And not only are they tackling topics which they were tackling back in the 80s, but they've got tracks on there like Gun Crazed Kids, which, kids running around with semi-automatic guns shooting at schools and shooting at beaches and so on wasn't really a big thing in the 1980s that I can remember.
No.
And hence not a lot of songs about it. But clearly,
I don't
there's
like
hardly
Mondays.
a week go by these days. Well, there's that. Yeah, so, that's true. Or is that just a statement?
A bit of both, really. I don't like Mondays, but the Boomtown Rat song.
Yeah,
there
is that.
So that was a school shooter, wasn't it?
That was a school shooting, yeah. But I think by any measure, the proliferation of angry people with guns taking.
Well, it used to be postal workers, didn't it? In the States, it was always going postal was the expression. So now it's like going. What do you do now? Going fifth grade or something like that? I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the ex-guitarists, because there have been a few. One of the ex-guitarists, Sean, used to be a manager of a pub in Nottingham, the Old Angel. Since I gave up alcohol many years ago, pubs are not ideal places to be.
No.
But from what I understand, it was a good haunt to be at.
Yeah. I remember the Varukers. I'm just looking on Discogs now, and I had those first. I think I had the first 3 EPs. I don't think I ever bought an LP. I definitely had the Varukers EP. I remember that, and I Don't Want to Be a Victim and Die for Your Government. I may have had Another Religion, Another War, but I think that was probably the last ones I. They're on Riot City Records, weren't they?
They were indeed for most of their live. Yeah.
Riot City was Bristol, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was Vice Squad. Vice Squad's drummer died yesterday, or an older
really?
drummer from back in the day. I believe I saw something that he passed away just recently. So
yeah, that's sad. I was only listening to Vice Squad earlier on today. Strangely, I didn't know.
A great band. Yes, excellent. Okay, well, my final one, my substitute is hold on, I've got to find it because I had to write my notes on the on my laptop because someone stole my number 2.
I think these casual accusations you throw, it's quite torturous being your co-presenter because you get accused of stuff, I get subjected to your singing, and you keep doing these bloody tests of songs I don't really care for with your twangy nasal voice, and then getting upset when I don't get them.
My twangy nasal voice. How fucking dare you?
That's the one. That's the one. God. Oh, dear.
Okay, so my final one, if I can find my fucking notes because I just clicked off them. So my final one is the one I hummed and hawed about putting in, but I now that I had the chance to, I've included it, and it's A Secret Wish by Propaganda.
Oh, right.
Yeah, did you sneer then?
No, I didn't sneer. It was a furrowed brown of puzzlement and surprise.
Oh yes, yeah. It's one of those records that came out in 1985, and I didn't really get it. I think because I consciously I knew it was on ZTT Records, home of Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Art of Noise, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I automatically kind of dismissed it because I always thought that ZTT were, how can I put it, pretentious bunch of twats.
That's so.
And well, I thought they were completely up their own arses, especially Paul Morley.
Right.
I always thought he thought he was a lot cleverer than he actually was. Well, as it turns out, he was actually quite clever. And over the years, I've come to quite love this record. Because there's so much to it. So Propaganda were a German synth pop band formed in Dusseldorf in 1982. And they were Ralph Dörper on keys, Michael Mertens on percussion, Suzanne Freitag on vocals, and Claudia Brücken on vocals. Oh, and Andreas Thien on programming. So apologies to Germans for butchering Thien, for butchering the language. I still can't say Kraftwerk correctly. Kraftwerk. You talk to a German, you go, "Oh, I fucking love Kraftwerk, mate," and they're like, "What?" So and joined on the album by, and I only found out this out today actually, or I probably knew it and had forgotten. John McGeoch played on this. David Sylvian was on there. Glenn Gregory from Heaven 17. Trevor Horn. He had quite a lot to do with it, as with most.
I was going to say that's not so much of a surprise.
Yeah, and it's a electro pop album, I suppose you'd call it, but a really really good one. And what I love about it, obviously I like all the songs on there, is that it's like one of these bloody video games when you go into the front door and all of a sudden this whole thing just opens up in front of you, because there are so many remixes and additions to songs and reworkings of songs. You could listen to bits and bobs of it for fucking hours and still not get to the bar. In fact, I'm pretty sure they've just released like the ultimate edition, and I think it's either 4 or 5 CDs.
Oh, right.
And which is a pity because I can't afford it, and I really want to get a copy at some point, and I can't quite afford it at the moment. And it's just got everything,
all the remixes.
But within a couple of months of this being released, they'd released Wishful Thinking, which was a companion remix album. A few years ago, I bought a 4 album box set on Record Store Day.
Oh yeah.
And which was fantastic. And then I listened to that. I thought, this is brilliant. And then somehow it went up in value to about 250 quid really quickly, and I went, oh fuck it, I sold it because I needed the money,
right.
Unfortunately. But that was brilliant as well. It's just got, Duel is just a superb song, superb single. and Machinery as well, and Dr. Mabuse.
I was about to say, is Dr. Mabuse on that record as well? Right, okay.
Yeah. And they even do a cover of Sorry for Laughing by Joseph Kay.
Okay.
Another one of our favourite. Well, I don't know if
Not
it's
so
one of
much
your favourites,
mine,
but
yours,
definitely me and Neil. We loved that Joseph Kay album. Sorry for Laughing. What was the album called? The Only Fun in Town. Sorry for Laughing was one of the singles off of it. And it's just a brilliant. There is so much to it. It's the songs are just spectacularly catchy. They're proper earworm songs. They're really well put together. And once you hear them, you just can't get them out of your head.
Well, I have to say, I have got the Dr. Mabuse 12-inch, and I think it stinks, and I can't remember how it sounds.
You're an absolute peasant. You really are. See, you just put me off completely now. Now I'm just like, fuck it. Just fuck off. But it's great. But yeah, I mean, as I say, there's so much to it. There's so much, but the thing is, the remixes and the reworkings don't feel like they're just there for to fill gaps or to cash in, or they actually feel like they're proper extensions on each song. So you've got this whole, it ends up with this whole world of a secret wish, and to explore. And I think that's what I like the most about it. And I always find myself, when I play them, I always find myself singing along to the bloody songs.
Can't help your neighbours.
Yeah. God. Well, I haven't got any, luckily enough.
You got some beneath you.
I've got a shop underneath me, and I think I'm sure they often look up the ceiling when I've got like the bug playing and my subwoofer going and everything's rattling. Going, what the fuck is going on up there?
Another thunderstorm.
Yes, yeah. Boom. That's, whoa. Yes, yeah. So yeah, Propaganda, Secret Wish, a really good album that you can just go on and discover more and more of.
Okay,
yes, I love it.
Okay,
it's a great album. Well, despite you disliking it.
Well, I haven't heard all of it. As I say, I've got one 12-inch. I don't know how I came by that. Just probably a cheap box experiment or something.
Yeah,
but I don't like it very much at all. And I can't remember.
Again, me and Neil, I think we always kind of had a penchant for electro pop, and we kind of liked all the, we liked all the electro, the futurist bands, I think they were called back in the time.
I liked a lot of them, just not Propaganda.
No, Propaganda, I suppose, were a bit. 85 was quite late for the electronic stuff, I suppose. Because you'd already been through, for example, Depeche Mode and Soft Cell and Tears for Fears. They'd all been and gone by then, I suppose. So yeah, it was probably a bit later. Yeah, and you had ZTT had Frankie as well, which was great when it started. But I found Frankie got tedious quite quickly. And that wasn't helped by the multitude of remixes, because I didn't think in that with the Frankie Goes to Hollywood things that the remixes actually added much. Yeah. Whereas I found that Propaganda, it was different. It just kind of opened up opened it all up into something much bigger. Mm-hmm. Whereas Frankie just opened it up into something a lot more boring. You just it just felt like you were flogging a dead horse.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it was just of its time, wasn't it? Because I think it was such a high profile release with Relax and Two Tribes, and the videos and the controversy that surrounded it. It wasn't music to listen to. It was music to, I don't know. It was on at the pub and it got everybody hyper.
Yes, agreed. So that was 1985.
Yeah, we had to miss off a lot. Rain Dogs, Tom Waits, New Day Rising, by Huskadoo.
And Flip Your Wig.
Scatology by Coil. That's a terrific.
Too Tough to Die, but the
Too
Ramones
Tough to Die
came out.
Yeah.
That was on my list
Hounds
as well.
of Love, Kate Bush.
Yes, that I've got that written down here. And Tim by Replacements, ironically, came out originally in 1985 as well. The Armory Show. Do you remember the Armory Show? That was Richard Jobson and John McGeoch. They were fucking brilliant.
It was a fine year. It was a fine year for releases. When
Half
you
Man, Half Biscuit. Back in the DHSS.
Oh, back in the DHSS. That was that year as well.
That was 85, yeah. All the Pogues were on Sodomy and the Lash.
Yeah. That was on my.
Yeah, but we'd covered that
exactly.
The other day in great detail.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of those bands we've only recently talked about. I only talked about Tom Waits.
Absolutely.
Ago. So it was a great year.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. Remember.
I Don't Want to Grow Up with the Descendants.
I don't. No, that didn't.
Great LP. Meat Is Murder by the Smiths.
Oh, right, that was okay.
Yes, and This Is the Sea by the Waterboys.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, I like the Waterboys. I think the Waterboys are kind of unjustly derided as well. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think of it. The Whole of the Moon is a fucking banger. That is an absolute banger of a song.
Yeah, even I could run through the tune of that, and I haven't heard it for 20 years or something.
Oh, I've got most of the Waterboys LPs, all the early ones.
Right.
I really like the Waterboys. Yeah.
Okay.
We went. Do you remember when we saw? Did you come to the Corn Exchange and see? Who was it? UK Subs or was it? Stiff Little Fingers? And Another Pretty Face supported them, and that was Mike Scott's band before the Waterboys.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Might have been Stiff Little Fingers. I think we went to the Nobody's Heroes tour.
Okay, that wasn't me.
At the Corn Exchange. No. Yeah, and went on the train, got chased by skinheads again. Fucking hell. Tedious. What'd you do? Went to a gig. What happened? Well, it got chased by skinheads. Fucking hell again. Yeah, I was as fit as fuck back at the bloody... Because every time we went to see a band, we got chased by fucking skinheads.
You did well, considering you were never without a fag in your hand.
Actually, I know. Actually, that might have been mods. I've got a feeling there was a bunch of lads running behind us going, "We are the mods, we are." Shut up, you fucking twats. And we're sitting here now doing a bloody podcast, and the mods are all wanking around doing fuck all, but with Paul Weller haircuts and bloody little feathery
I'm
things.
sure there were some 60-year-old mods out there got something to say on a podcast somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I didn't get chased by mods at any time. I think the most hassle I ever got was the Neil Wayne versus the Herrywood kind of things that used to go back and forwards. So that was all very tame.
Yes, the school rivalries.
Yeah. Oh, there was the rivalries of a
Happy
Friday,
days.
Saturday night march and Whiz Beach and March and Chatteras and all that kind of shit.
I never got involved in any of that bollocks. I was too busy getting chased by skinheads.
Yes. Where's Dave when you need some backup? Oh, there he goes. Him and his skinheads.
I'm pretty sure me and Neil got chased by skinheads after the bloody Damned at Peterborough Arena in the 81 gig. Because we were staying at his friend's house in Peterborough and we got chased fucking miles. We got chased by skinheads in Hunstanton at the chip shop because Tim Cox called someone a wanker or something. I don't bloody remember. But yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway,
we digress.
Indeed.
Here we are talking about how bloody, we did this, and no one's going, what the fuck are they talking about? Jeepers, where the fuck's Hunstanton? What's a mod?
Yeah. I remember being in London once. We'd been to a gig and there was only about 3 or 4 of us, and we come tootling down some street, just wandering drunkenly down the street, and there's a big football match on, and there must have been 300 football fans pouring out of this hotel all over the street and everywhere, and there's this 3 or 4 go, give us 10 pence, give us 10 pence, give us 10 pence. We were quite fortunate in retrospect that didn't end up messily.
Yeah, in death.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yes, anyway. So that's 85. Done and dusted. Yeah. What a year. I can't even remember what I was doing in 1985, actually. I think I was living in a shared house somewhere outside Cambridge and not really I didn't know very many people, so I didn't get to see any gigs around those.
Had you come back from the Navy then, had you? Yeah.
I was out. Yeah, I'd got out. Oh, actually, That might have been. I think I was living in just outside Cambridge,
Right.
working in a hotel. In fact, 85. I think I may well have gone and seen Billy Bragg in 85
Okay.
at the. That was about the only gig. I think I went to see Billy Bragg, and I possibly saw the Toy Dolls.
No, right.
Both at Cambridge Guildhall. Because I had a girlfriend who drove me into a couple of gigs, and we had a nice time. Yeah, it's always handy. Always handy.
I know I was playing drums with marching orders, and I think there was the Frantics as well. I think I was doing a rat from Varukers, playing in two different bands at the same time, and I'm sure I went and saw loads and loads of bands. I'm sure, but it was a messy time. So I can't really remember much about it.
Yeah, well, you've got bloody about 30 years of that. Messy times with lack of memories and everything.
Right.
So when are we penciling the mental health special in for then?
Oh God, who knows where that would end up?
We should both be laying on couches and analyse each other. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Oh dear. Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people we knew, a lot of people we hung around with didn't get this far. That's the thing. So we got here with scars, psychologically and otherwise. But there's a good few people that should still be around and aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is always the way, unfortunately, isn't it? Yeah. But here we are, 60.
Sick.
Healthy. And...
this is slightly damaged.
Yes, with our battle scars, and as you say, yes. Oh dear, and still ploughing on.
Still ploughing on. Still gathering memories to forget 24 hours later.
Yes, yeah, and still got a sense of humour. Anyway, right,
so
let's
there
bring
we go.
this debacle to an end. We will be back with these are normally going to come out around about every 10 days now, so set your calendars, listeners. We've got, I think we're approaching 2,000 regularish listeners, which is still 1,950 more than we originally had, which is quite exciting. So everyone leave us messages on Instagram or on Facebook. Make sure that as well as listening to us, you also listen to the greatest podcast ever with Brooklyn Pete and DJ Substance, because they're always nice to us. And they had a new one out. That had an R.E.M.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't from the same LP this time.
Okay.
So kind of fate-ish, but not quite. But we'll give them that. We'll see if we can if they can think ahead and match us again at some point. So this is MC Crabstick signing off.
Me, DJ Shit Pump.
DJ Shit Pump. Okay, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for listening.